Hello and welcome. My name is Brett Schuhart, and this is another video in the RPN calculator series. In this video I'm going to demonstrate adding the sum operator. A sum operator will take the entire contents of the stack and add them all up and put a single value back on the stack. So let's go ahead and start by creating a test. Actually, let's start by making sure the tests all still pass. Sure enough, they do. Now let's go ahead and create a new test. Alright, so sum test. I'll just do the whole thing in one thing. I think this should be easy enough. And I need an operand stack, so new operand stack. Assign that to a field, variable, local variable. Import the test. Then I'll push some values onto it. How's about 3? And I'll do 4 and 5, which should give me ultimately a sum of 12, right? Alright, this line is not passing, so let's go ahead and create the class sum. It should be a math operator. I'll leave it empty for now. And then I will verify that the sum is correct. So there's my test. There's my test. Now I'll run this test. It should fail. Sure enough, it fails. I expected 12, but it was 5. 5 is the last thing I put onto the stack. That makes some sense. So let's go ahead and write the execute method. All right. So how's about this? I'm just going to do this. While the value size is greater than 1, I'm going to say new add execute. I'll just use existing functionality that works. Now, there's no size method on the value, so I'll go ahead and add that in. Notice I am adding it as a test. Let's see, values.size. I don't think that's very risky to do since I'm just, my operand stack is a light veneer over an existing stack class. Okay, let's see if this works. It looks like it's taking an awful long time. This does not appear to be working. Should be able to sum, is not finishing. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that test. And let's see if I can figure it out what's going on. I'm going to go to the execute method. Here's the execute method. Peek, pop, peek, execute impl, and then, aha. In the original version, I was doing replace top, not push. So what this ends up doing is, instead of removing, in fact, I bet you I can fix this right away as an experiment. Okay. Now, it caused the test to fail, but the point is the test didn't sit there and spin forever. So I'm going to go ahead and back this out. I'm back to where I have just the one failing test and it's hanging. And what I'll do is I'm going to temporarily put this test on hold and get the other problem fixed first. So let's ignore this test. There we go. My tests are passing. I'll come back to this in a second. There's BinaryMathOperator, so let's look at the class that tests BinaryMathOperator. And it was the last test where we verified that we stored the result on the stack, and notice I'm actually verifying that the method push is called. Okay, that's just wrong, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a different kind of test. Now that I've got a size method, I can write this test. So I'm going to need a new stack actually. So actually I can just do this. I don't care what's on the stack other than there are 2 values on the stack. So there's 2 values on the stack. Now mockop.execute on my stack. And I want to assert equals 1 and the stack size. Ooh, I guess that test never finished running. So go ahead and terminate that test. Okay, so let's see if I can get this test passing. So should reduce stack size. Expected 1 but was 2, so there's a problem. So now I need to make sure that the stack size is correct. So I'm going to go back to BinaryMathOperator. This should be replace top. This is going to break another test. I know this. But I want to make sure that this test passes, and then the next one will fail. Sure enough, it does. And realistically, that test probably supersedes this test. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and make that test correct relative to the new implementation. But that's a smell. That test, as written, allowed for something that was wrong. Didn't have a test to capture it. That's fine. It's going to happen. I was working on something. I thought I had it done. I did something else, and notice all of a sudden I broke something. Well, I had to figure out what was broken. I figured that out. I wrote a test to cover it. There's that test. And then that forced this test to change. Again, I sort of wonder if I can just get rid of this test. I'm not going to for now. But that now gets me back to where I should be able to go to my sum test and unignore it. And let's see if this runs. Okay. So now this test runs, and let's run the whole suite. Okay, everything works. Now we're going to need to register the sum with the factory. So let's go ahead and find, I guess, the test for the factory. Okay. Oh, that's factorial, not factory. Here we go. These are the registered. Okay, this test will fail. Sure enough, it does. I'll go into this method. Ah, yes, it's a concrete, so I want to go to the concrete class, that is. And I need to add another one. Okay, that's good. I'm going to close this up. Don't need that anymore. Let's look at sum for a second. This is a bit unnecessary, so how about we just do this? I'm going to extract this to a constant. Actually, I can do this with a quick fix. There we go. Everything should work fine. Alright, there's the sum operator, and we'll wrap it up with that. Notice, I'm not even going to test that I can use this with the calculator, because the calculator uses the factory. The factory has sum. I know that because of the test. I know that sum works, so if I wanted to use this in the calculator now has sum, and I'm sure it'll work. Hope you enjoyed this video. Coming up next will be yet another operator.